It's almost interesting for me to know what makes a person, come in, because even though we all are going to be learning exactly the same thing, each of us, of course, has, a reason why we are here. And some are curiosity, others because they were told, just come with me. Okay? And others already set in their mind and they know that there's something here to learn, and they are ready to learn and take in everything. Others have a certain goal that is set, that they want to achieve, and they are wondering if their goal can be achieved. Here, some of those goals are of physical kind, emotional kind, mental kind. So there's all kinds of different reasons. Now, the good news is that more than likely you're in the right place, because we will be working from the inside out. We will be working from, if I should say, the level of karma to the level of energy, to the level of emotion, to the level of thought, to the physical, to the action, towards our reality, in that order. So some of you, I may even mention that at one time or another, of the order of things, and I think the order of things is very important, because there's only one energy out there, one energy, one resonance. And depending on where we look at that resonance, depending at which stage we look at that resonance, we call it by a different name. When we are at the karmic level, it's before it manifests, before we feel it. It's in an unconscious level. It's deep, deep, deep. The message is everywhere, but it's not conscious. So it's still karmic level. And then the first expression of karma, is probably in our genetics. But we still don't know it. We don't see it. We don't feel it. But what we feel, see, is every moment the expression of karma. We feel and see it in our emotions. Okay, that's the first place. Now, when we're talking about emotions, I always think of the two main emotional centers that we generally refer to emotions, and it is this emotional center that is at the chest, which is the fourth chakra, which gives us signals, emotional signals of stress, anxiety, fear, tightness. Okay, that's the fourth emotional center. And generally we're talking about another one, which is the fifth emotional center, the fifth chakra, which gives us confidence or lack of it, makes us overreact. So on the emotional level. But we also know that with those there are 7 altogether, and maybe some understand, some who've taken more courses with us, we talk about 10 centers, but right now we're going to be addressing the 7. And each of them are also emotional centers, except at this stage of our development as human beings, those emotional centers are not challenging us. They are already at a certain state, at a certain level, but they're not really challenging us, so we don't refer to them as emotional centers. Those are the emotional centers that are at the bottom of the spine, and it's an emotional center that expresses love towards the animate nature, towards the building blocks of nature, towards the table of elements, and it resonates with the table of elements, And that's the first emotional center that expresses love as we are conceived, right? That's the first one, the first chakra. And it's natural. It's a sense of survival. And that energy turns on at moments of conception, and then things start working. And the next energy center that, again, very naturally expresses is the energy center which we call the second chakra, and it is the division of cells in our body. Okay, so meiosis, mitosis, that energy, and that expresses second. But it's nothing that we have to control. It's survival. It's normal. It's part of our life. And then the third one turns on. And the third one not only makes the cells divide, but it helps them form into organs and systems. And 40 weeks in the mother's womb, into that time, we start developing our shape. So suddenly we have 3 emotional centers that turn on even before we recognize who we are. Okay, even before that. And then those 3 emotional centers, even though the other ones exist, but those 3 become dominant until we fully develop, until we come out as children, as infants and then children, until we grow up to ask a question, who am I? To recognize our existence as a separate existence from others. And that's where the fourth chakra turns on. And that's the moment we start asking the question, where am I? Exactly at that moment, we also start questioning ourselves. And that could happen at any age. It has nothing to do with age, chronologically. It has everything to do with energy. And sometimes our external environment makes us grow up faster. If there's a need for us to grow up faster, and you see, we are probably more fortunate in this country, but in other countries, you see the little ones having to take care of even little ones, and the parents are not there, and then they grow up real fast. Ask a question, who am I? And at really young age. Now, as we are developing, humanity is moving forward in our development, even in this country, children maybe as young as 5, 6, start asking questions that maybe we didn't even think of until we were in our teens. They're already asking those questions. And that is actually a sign that we as humanity are moving forward. Okay. But at the same time, as we are moving forward as humanity and started asking those important questions early, we also find the challenges of the children are equally greater. You see a lot of children with anxiety and stress too young to experience that. Too young. But that's because we're developing faster, not because there's something wrong. So here we are, beginning to ask the question, who am I? The fourth chakra, that becomes a dominant experience. And then the next awakens. Not only who am I, but who are they? And how do they see me? Who are they and how do they see me is the fifth chakra experience. It's always there. All the 7 chakras, all the 10 chakras are there from the first moment in energetical potential. But the one that is mostly activated for our awareness to continue and move forward is the one that we are challenged with the most. And if you find that whatever the questions that we ask, also parallel to that, we have the challenges. And where do we have the challenges? We have the challenges equally on the physical level as we are on the emotional level and on the mental level. Because it's just an expression of the same energy. Just we are measuring it or capturing it or noticing it at a different level of expression of that energy. We talked about karmic, then we talked about emotional, then we talked about mental. As we make sense of those emotions, it becomes a mental experience, and after that it becomes a physical experience. Now, where exactly that differentiates, but when I'm talking about physical experience, is when it already settles, let's say, as a discomfort in the neck, when we seem not to be able to figure out our role amongst our friends, and our emotions begin controlling us a little. So we have stiffness in the neck and the shoulders. That becomes a physical, emotional, thought, and then physical, right? And then our actions express that, right? And then, of course, life reacts back to us in that way. The next evolution of humanity will be focused on mental experiences. We will be more concerned about our past and our future than we ever were. At this stage of development, we have already passed through. The first chakra is not our concern. We're not controlling it. We're not overcoming it. It is strengthened by the higher chakras. As we resolve the issue of our fourth, or the challenges of our fourth, as we better understand ourselves, so do we get better connection to Earth, so we get better connection within our body, the resonance of the building blocks becomes more efficient. So our sexual energy strengthens as we understand better ourselves. So our sexual energy strengthens. So division of cells in the body, in other words, we rejuvenate better, which is the second center. So we feel stronger. How many times we lose physical strength because we can't resolve something with ourselves? Because it's that energy that strengthens the lower. So we lose physical strength, not because there's something wrong with our physicality, but we lose physical strength because there's something that we still have to resolve in relation to understanding ourselves. Is that interesting to you, what I'm just describing? Because this is pretty much what we will be working with through today, but not at the level of the chakras necessarily, but at the level that precedes the emotional, at the level of the karmic level, on the unconscious level. As usually we're trying to resolve on a conscious level most of our issues, which is great, but there's so much that we can do. And today we're going to actually go deeper and start resolving it on a karmic level. So as I said, as we evolve as humanity, some of us already, it's not that we lost the need to be physically strong. It's not that we lost the need to understand ourselves. It's not that we lose the need to understand others and to understand how they view us and how we interact with them. It's not that we ever lose that need, but that need is resolved now from the perspective, if we rise and when we rise to that perspective, of better understanding our past and better understanding our future. And this is where we're moving as humanity. Okay, we will question our future more than ever. And we will have to better understand our past to be able to move forward. Okay. To differentiate the sixth emotional center is usually defined as intuition, where the third emotional center is usually defined as, anyone?
Power.
Yes, but we have a word for that.
Control.
Yes, we have a word for that.
Solar plexus.
Instinct. Instinct is when we react to something that happens. Intuition is when we foresee something before it happens. Often, they are working in conjunction with one another. Okay? And often, we have in every thought, in every experience, we have a degree of instinct and a degree of intuition. Our goal, of course, like I've said, the next evolution of humanity, our goal is to live more in the intuitive. When we live in the intuitive, then we do not need to protect. In the intuitive, we feel guided. In the instinctive, we feel that we need to have strength to properly react. We do that with ourselves. We do that with our ailments, challenges, and so forth. So it's okay to have both, but as long as we understand which direction we are going, we're moving as humanity and as individuals to be able to live more in a state of guidance, and we know when we're in a state of guidance, right? There are some times in our lives when we feel, like you said when you came in, you called it synchronicity, right? But we have this feeling sometimes that nothing can touch it. We can't go wrong. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know how it works. We just can't go wrong. Everything works in our way, And they have a saying about that. Good things come in multiples, right? Right? Which means that you are in that zone, in that energy, that everything opens up to. That's where we want to be most. The opposite is the moment the energy drops, and it doesn't really drop necessarily, but it is, energy actually doesn't drop. It is just that the moment you rise, the universe presents you with a higher quality challenge. Yeah? Now you're more capable. The universe is fair, so it presents you with a higher challenge, and then right after that, you feel, here I am back again, having to react. But you didn't drop. Don't worry, you didn't drop. It is just that, as you continue evolving, you are now facing a much more important task to fulfill, and there you feel that you have to react. And then there is a saying about that, and I hope it's not going to happen today. The saying is, when it rains, it pours, right? So there's a two states that we recognize, and it's part of our, saying in all languages in the world, the same, right? Everywhere we are. When it rains, it pours, and good things come in multiples. So our goal today is to at least begin to plant the seed in you and to learn the tools that we will learn today, and the tools of self-reflection, the tools of working inwards, and the tools of awakening energy from the inside, the tools of clearing the obstacles, between your ideal state and your current state, and I'll talk about it a little bit today, a little bit more. The goal is to clear the path to move from a life of instinctive, reactive, protective, fear-based states, not to blame, to intuitive, proactive, faith-based, freedom-based, guided states. That's it. That's where we're at as humanity. Right? So we moved from the natural love from the first chakra to the second, we understand, to the third of protective, we understand, to self-recognition, we understand, to recognition of ourselves and our place amongst others, we understand, and then we're moving to another state of intuitive state of guidance, where we recognize our past and our future as one place. That's intuition. As one place, as one system, as one resonance. And then there's a next step. after that. And the next step is recognizing all to be one. Not only past and future, but all to be one. That's the state of the seventh chakra. We are not yet able to quantify it so well because we are all as humanity moving forward towards it. But one thing I will say, that the goal, I believe today, of everyone around, whether we understand it or not, is to move from a place of self-recognition, okay? Of self-recognition as a unique individual, which is the fourth chakra experience, right? But as separate from others. Because this is what happens. When we're children, we're in such place where everything is one. We don't understand how unique we are, but at the same time, we don't understand that we are separate from everything, right? And then we go through stages of self-recognition and fighting for our independence, proving our uniqueness and individuality as a separate identity. I believe we are moving as society today to the highest level of recognizing ourselves, uniqueness and individuality, as part of something bigger. So our uniqueness before made us feel different and separate. We had to prove. Now our uniqueness and individuality will be as a missing part in unity with others. Does that make sense? Why was that important? Some people don't listen to it. Some people not interested to know. You happen to be those who, I believe, are interested to know. But it is important because this message that I'm saying and trying to verbalize today, this message is part of our karmic destiny of each individual and as us together. And that karmic information is coming in from a level of unconscious and trying to break free, to express itself. And as it's trying to do that, it is giving us signs and signals of where we need to grow as individuals to be able to have the proper resonance. So that happens. By that giving us sign of stress, anxiety, lack of confidence, physical ailments appropriate to the challenge, spinal discomforts, challenges in our relationship with ourselves, with others. Those are not problems per se, but nothing but signs and signals on our unique path towards recognition, like I say today, recognition of the importance of who we are, of the importance of our uniqueness and individuality, but no longer as a separated unit, but recognition of uniqueness and individuality and what our life is worth and where we're going as expression of unity. Until we work in parallel with that message that comes from the karmic level, we will feel uncomfortable. And the moment we get in the same resonance with that, we will feel comfortable in whatever place we are, in whatever situation we may be. I give an example. I think years ago I talked about a man in a boat. Just an example, a man in a boat. And I was talking about a river flowing in one direction. Right? The river only flows in one direction, right? It doesn't go in two directions. And there's this man sitting in the boat. And he's rowing. And rowing. And it seems no matter how hard he rows, he's still going back. He rows faster and harder and he puts his sail up and everything. But it still seems that no matter how much effort he applies, he still goes in the wrong direction. And he sees other people rowing, also rowing, real hard. And all of us, seemingly, no matter how hard we try, no matter, we're going still in the wrong direction. Little did we know that all that was missing is that maybe we were facing the wrong way. We were facing against the flow of the river. Nobody told us. The moment, and to the degree that we start facing in the right direction, lesser efforts, or sometimes no exertion of effort, will still take you forward. Because all you've done is changed. So what we are doing here today, in a sense, we're not learning how to row harder. We're not trying to figure out how to get better boats and better sails and how to strengthen ourselves so we can resist that river. What we're doing energetically from the karmic level today, what we're going to start learning today, is how to turn ourselves in the right direction. It's much easier on one end, but it takes a little bit of effort initially. And after that, we'll just enjoy the ride. Nothing else changed. The boat remained the same, the sails remained the same, we remained the same, our friends remained the same, the river remained the same, the winds remained the same, the sun, everything remained absolutely the way it was before. The only thing that changed that we are facing now in a better, we're facing better towards the direction where the river is flowing. That's it. We don't have to fight anything and win. We're fighting everything, trying to win. And we find ourselves going against our own body with all the side effects. And then we fight the side effects. Big signs, all of us together fighting, rowing against the river sometimes. Okay? So, that's it. That's the introduction. What we're going to do today, it's going to have a few parts to it. We're going to have a sitting part, we're going to have a standing part, and hopefully we're going to have a conscious part as well. It requires absolutely no previous knowledge or experience. Even though those who do have knowledge and experience will have interesting time comparing what you already know, what you already experienced, what you already read, and I'm sure you've read and experienced and heard many things. But you'll have an interesting time. But what I'll ask you meanwhile, to be able to properly compare, is to somehow, what's that word? Suspend, thank you. Good. Suspend everything that you know for the next hour, hour and a half, and come fresh page, like a clean page. Okay? And we'll start drawing a little bit of what I present on that page. You'll have your unique experience. And then you'll be able to put it together and see how much of it overlaps, how much of it adds to what you already know, how much of it maybe contradicts with what you thought. Maybe, But to make it a fair game, to be able to do that, we have to suspend, thank you, Rada, for that, suspend the previous experience. And even if the words we may use or the form may look similar, I still want to ask you to, do it with a little bit of innocence, a little bit, just a bit. And then we should be doing very, very well together. Those of you who've been to the show, you've maybe even had a diagnosis with me. And I have the ability to sense energy, I connect, and I was able to mark for you certain places where you are challenged a little bit more and how life is for you. But just because I have that sense to diagnose, it still doesn't resolve anything for you, right? Mostly we spoke about things you already know. Anyway, some things I've said you may have not known, and some people I've mentioned certain things that maybe I asked them to go and check them medically as well. But generally, I spoke only of things that you already know yourself. So even though I have great sensitivity, that is not my strongest, I believe, my strongest ability and not my calling. This is not where my calling is. I think the next thing that I feel comfortable with is when we have an agreement, like here today, to be in the energy together, I'm able to raise my energy very high. And the moment I raise my energy very high, and we are agreed to be in one energy together, then your energy will rise automatically. And like one of the students that came to the show, and he says, Erik, I always remember the one thing you always say, highest energy wins. Highest energy wins. In other words, when there are two people that come in the company of each other, there is no way in the world that one person can reduce the energy of the other. The highest energy wins. Okay? So the same way as knowledge, right? If let's say there's something that I know you don't know, you can't take it away from me. You can't take it away from me. All I can do is add it to you. By that, by the way, not losing that knowledge. Now we both know. I knew, you didn't know, I shared it with you, I didn't lose it, you gained it. That's how energy works. I didn't lose it, you gain it. Now because we both know, we are stronger together. The same thing energetically. When I raise my energy and your energy rises, I don't lose any energy. You gain. It's resonance. It's not a transfer of physical things from one to the other where you have a loss. So suddenly we all become stronger. By that we can move forward as a unity, which I said that we are moving toward. No loss. So don't be afraid that don't be afraid to take. That's what I'm trying to say, because there's a lot of good people here. Usually, people who tend to feel kind of, they don't want to take too much. You're not taking anything. We're sharing something that makes us stronger together. So be free and experience the energy. So the second thing, as I said, first is my sensitivity, fine, then my raising of the energy, and even that, I believe, is not my calling. Because if that was my calling, then you would have to rely on me always raising the energy. I believe, and I'm working on it very, very hard, towards the third thing that I hope that is maybe finally my calling, is to be able to teach you how you can do it on your own. How you could share it with others, how you could do it for yourself. Okay? And to teach you the tools of how to work with that energy, but not only on the level of changing its quality, but also the tools that allow you now with that energy to rise to the level of intuition, to be able to work on the past and on the future, which I believe where the karmic levels are. Okay? And that I believe, and that is what I would like to share with you, not only the know what's going on, not only the energy that we will raise in a few moments even higher, it's already rising, but also in me being able to transfer the tools for you to do it on your own. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay? We're going to do the second and the third. We're going to raise the energy together, and then I'm going to transfer some of those tools today, so you will have something, you'll leave with something today that you can do on your own. Okay, and later if you want more tools, we're going to have the opportunity to do that. Okay?